Checkerboard floor. I don't know, we're having some problems with this screen recording at the moment, aren't we?
Certainly are.
Anyway, it's Friday.
Good evening.
Friday crackerjack. And we've got a little list here of a couple of things that we wanted to look at. And a little update, we've got a couple of pasties, so we can't do the old ching really, or can we? Hang on. That's about it. That's about the best you're going to get. Anyway, first off, the one we did about the Eurovision, I don't know what was going on there, but we had to upload it in 2 parts, as you probably saw, because even though I tried to stop this from recording, it wouldn't stop. I don't know what was going on, but anyway, there was definitely a glitch. Perhaps they didn't want us to do something about it in the first place. But as we said, talking about the Eurovision, we thoroughly enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was hilarious, right? And as I said before, I don't want people to think. I don't really care what people think, so it doesn't matter. But people think that I'm purposely trying to find things to poke fun at or criticise. And as we said, a lot of that Eurovision, of course, it's the biggest music event in the world every year, if you can call it that. But the work that goes into that show is insane. And there's a lot of people who earn their livings, crew people, tour bus people, staging people and everything. And rightly so, they shouldn't be brought in as if they're part of this agenda. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mum knows, because Mum's been to a lot of shows over the years. And in fact, a friend of mine, Martin, has worked with some major acts, and we actually went to see a couple that came to France. One which was a big Michael Jackson show that was apparently sanctioned by the Jacksons, and we didn't go because we wanted to go and see. We didn't want to go and see the King of Pop. We went because Martin was doing the show, and we got to hang out backstage and everything. But a lot of work goes into that. But the reason we wanted to revisit a little bit the Eurovision first off was because of this bloke here, right? As you can see, this guy here. Now, we know, like I said, we all know that these people are bought in. They're all part of the old system, all part of the club, whatever way you want to look at it. But they're bought in to do a job, right? And you say to yourself, well, okay, there's no problem with that, whatever. We know about all that. But anyway, this guy here, apparently, as we saw, he was booed off of the stage at the end. He actually wasn't, I don't think, because he was smiling. He knew what was going on anyway. But he was booed. And as we said before, if the public genuinely booed this guy, which I don't think they did, it was all to create controversy. If the if the public actually booed this guy, then I'm afraid, as I've said before, shame on you. Because the people from the country don't cause the problems that the country's involved in, do they?
No.
Not as a general rule. They might help, in a way, push things along, a bit like in the UK with the old fake Brexit and all that rubbish. But it showed you the controversy and how it's created. It was quite funny because we forgot to say in our thing that we did about it. It's the old Johnny Logan. What's another year? What's another year? He's pretty much the most successful, or I can't remember how they put it, but yeah, I think he's won it twice. Anyway, he's 71 now. Good grief. Where's that time gone? But anyway, and of course they did the sort of the tribute to all the big hits, and of course because Ireland had boycotted it, they didn't feature Ireland in the tribute to all the memorable songs. So there you go. There's your. It's a non-political event.
Rubbish.
Anyway, and of course we know that the Irish government, those sacks of shit, those people are completely connected to the rest of them, which is why they're all in the UN. But I just wanted to bring it up because, like we said, it's very, very easy to point fingers at the public and blame the public, as opposed to look at the people that actually create these situations in the first place. And on that note, we went to see our dentist the other day, who's a bit of a top man, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he's great.
He's a very funny bloke, and he's got a great sense of humour as well. And as we said in one of our previous podcasts, that he's one of these people who suddenly realised that the game is rigged, and he wanted to talk to me about it. I don't know why, but he wanted to talk to me about it, and it was only when me, Mum, and Serge went to the dentist, like a family outing,
Yeah.
we sort of let him have it with all barrels a-blazing. And he was a very angry man at the time, and he's managed to get that off his chest now, which of course we've all been through. But he was talking whilst he was sorting my poor old teeth out about some other things that he's found out and so on. And of course he brought up this country here, and he's a little bit older than me. Guy looks brilliant. I can't believe it. He just looks great, right? But he said, we said the same thing. This is stuff that's been going on before we were born. Do you think it's ever going to change? Of course it's not, is it?
No.
And I said to him, this proves the point. And like Matt says from Quantum, that, if reality was real, these things would not happen or allowed to continue to happen. And the easy way to win, if you need to win an argument with somebody who makes these stupid statements about all these countries being individual and making their own decisions, is that if that was the case, why are they all part of the United Nations then?
Yeah.
That criminal organisation full up as bottom of the barrel scumbags and their ambassadors, these countries would no longer be allowed to be part of that organisation if reality was real.
They'd be tossed out, wouldn't they?
Well, they would be, of course they would be. They would just say, until you calm the fuck down, I'm afraid you can no longer send your people here. And it's the same thing as we were talking about, about the old Ruskies. They also wouldn't allow them up on the International Space Station stage set, would they? But apparently they do. There's no problem with that. There's no James Bond type of event going to happen there. So again, that just proves it. But I wanted to bring it up because I forgot about it the other day when we did this thing about Eurovulsion, and about how it's too easy to point fingers at people, and yet you're prepared to point fingers at them, but you're not prepared to address who causes these problems in the first place.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that about right? I think that's right. Anyway, so I hope that this all works today, because like I said, I don't understand what went on the other day. But anyway, what I wanted to do was bring up a little sujet. Now, where is she? There she is. Now, you've all seen this picture before. This young lady apparently has to leave a sixth form college that urged her to study a language she wasn't happy about. To study? I don't know. Anyway, so as we've said before, is it some ugly old, no, of course it's got to be some, some young cutie girl with nice hair and all this kind of stuff. And like I said before, probably could do with some conditioner, I don't know. Right, but of course this was on the good old Ukraine, the good old Guardian, which of course they love their old yellow and blue. Now, let's just hold this picture for a second here. Boo-hoo, life sucks, right, it's not fair, right, whatever, right. There are a lot of people in the world, there are a lot of people that live in the UK whose lives are very difficult and have to go through all kinds of nightmares, but they never seem to get in the newspapers, do they? It's only these people, or people like this, that get in the newspapers. And I would suggest that this person probably never ever went to the college we're just going to talk about. So we'll get rid of her. We'll look at these three clowns in a minute. But anyway, so Stoke-on-Trent College. Now, there might be a lot of and ahhing in this, but if you remember from a previous chat that we did, old Serge, he tried to get hold of the college and he emailed them, didn't he?
Well, he tried phoning first and couldn't get through.
He tried phoning first,
and
couldn't get through.
He emailed them 2 or 3 times, I think.
And we never heard anything, right? Which is a bit of a, you think that's a bit odd. But if you notice that this place as well, they also have quite a thing for the old colour yellow and blue, which you will see a little bit more of in a moment. Now, I'm not saying that the teachers in this college are bent, or that the people that go to this college are going to end up, I don't know, right? But I'm just using this as an example. So the story basically said, as we've said, that this person ends up having to leave the college because she's put under pressure to learn Russian, right?
Yep.
And that's what it said in the newspaper. So it's got to be true, boys and girls. It's in the news, so it has to be true, right? For those naysayers that say we're all mad, that we're...
Especially a paper like The Guardian.
Yeah, Guardian, one of the biggest newspapers in the world, right? So anyway, I had some luck today and I called Stoke-on-Trent College and actually spoke to somebody, right? Very nice lady. And I asked her, what language courses or curriculum, blah, 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 does Stoke-on-Trent College offer, basically? And I'm expecting, Spanish, French, German, whatever, or maybe even English, if it's a foreign person who wants to study there, whose English isn't great. They've got, English classes and so on. To be quite surprised to hear from this lady that they actually don't offer any language courses whatsoever. So you can see where I'm going with this. So wouldn't you have thought that if a newspaper like The Guardian had put out an article saying that people at the faculty or whatever were trying to force a young lady to speak or to learn Russian, that Stoke-on-Trent would say to the newspaper, well, hang on a minute, you can't put this out, we don't do this here. Well, anyway, this lady confirmed. I was gonna record it, but you can check it for yourself. Guys and girls out there, I'll fire in that, you know what I'm talking about, mate. But call them up and ask them, and just say to them, what languages do you teach at Stoke-on-Trent? And they will tell you none. They did say, however, that I could try Newcastle. Newcastle College. If I was interested in, because I said we were trying to find, we wanted somebody to intern there, didn't I, or something like that.
Yes.
Well, anyway, so that proves again, for all you people that turn around and say we're conspiracy theorists, we're actually not. We are possibility people. There's a possibility that these bastards lied about it, right? So I thought it was quite funny again that I started to look into this college and so on. And this picture here, Level 3 Extended Diploma in Health and Social Care. Now these people, I can guarantee you, are not students or were ever students at this college. They're people that are brought in to take photographs with, right? Staged pictures, because it's an advertisement thing, right? Anyway, I was trying to do this earlier on, and I couldn't open it up, and I thought, I can't believe this, we can't open it up, because I'd opened it up, and I just thought this was a rather, I wouldn't say odd picture, but considering the path that we took after 2020, this has something very closely connected to it, wouldn't you say? Right?
Very close.
So what I did was I rebooted the page, and then I was able to open the picture in another tab. And this is what I got. This woman sticking a syringe in this bloke's arm. Now, I'm sorry, I know this only sounds trivial. I don't know what on earth is written on this whiteboard here. There's some weird shit that I saw in here to do with, oh, here we go. To do with your buttocks and thighs. There's something feminine something down here. I don't know what all this is to do with. There's a hand. This all looks, I don't know, I'm sure if we looked in the beginning of the menstruation cycle and all this kind of stuff, it's like, what on earth is this bloke doing sitting in here then with all of this? But the point was this little piece here. Why, if you are promoting an extended diploma in health and social care, would you need to use a picture that was basically what we saw during the and continuing the 91 divot bullshit?
Yeah.
You think that's a good point, Mum?
No, I mean, it's a very good point.
It's unnecessary, right? Unless this is a little bit of propaganda, just snuck in there. And of course, on their page, you actually can't, as you can see if I do it here, you can't open it. You have to reboot the page, and then as soon as it reboots, you can open the picture. I thought that was interesting. And then when you start looking into, we'll close a couple of these off. Here's another choice picture here. When people say they don't use dummies and they don't use, well, basically dummies in these things, you see people lying on, let's say, Westminster Bridge or down in Nice, and they're supposed to be real. This is a rather, so you can't open this one up, so we won't bother with this, but this is a rather disturbing sort of image, and you can see that these are fake arms and so on. That's not the point I'm trying to get at. The point I'm trying to get at is that these sort of places literally are, again, brainwashing people into a certain belief. And once again, we've got a little bit of yellow, we've got all the blue, we've got all the yellow and blue all the way through this site. Here it is down here. This is the larger version of it, so you can see. But the reason that I brought this up was because, like we said, is when people say, oh, come on, they don't use dummies for these things. It's like, well, they use dummies there. And a rather scary looking dummy as well.
Good grief. Oh,
So I thought it's quite interesting once you start looking into these things. And of course, we out there's a little chat box up here, down the corner here, called Michelle Who Wants to Talk to Me. Lisa Cooper, MBE and CEO of Principal of Stoke-on-Trent College, said, the NH workforce plan shows that vacancies will be right. Okay, so all these people again, they're all connected. If you started really looking through who some of these people are, I'm sure that you would have a very amusing few hours once you start finding, like I said, MBEs and all this nonsense, right? But the thing that was interesting was that this is the college that supposedly caused problems for a young girl, was in the news, all over the news. You will never find another picture of that girl, by the way. So I don't know where that girl's gone now. Probably back home to Brixton or somewhere, I don't know. Right? Anyway, so we had a little bit of a scan through this, and this isn't to knock the people that run these places and everything, but they had a tidy old page here, if it will load, which was updated on the 9th of January 2024, so pushing the old 91 Divic again. What you should look for. What should I look for if I develop you know what? Right, so this college, totally in line with all legislation, pushing this shit on their students, right? Just to keep it ticking over, right? Keep it ticking over. And so that, all right, it's a few years ago now, but nevertheless, it's still there. And I thought, it was quite funny. It says here, if you test you know what, you should you know what until you're test negative or 2 consecutive days, starting from days 5 and 6. After 10 full days, you can return to college regardless of whether or not you are still testing positive.
oh,
So how about that? Let's do a John Levy here. Just take that in, what it says here. So after 10 days, even if you fake test and it comes up positive, it don't matter. You come back and spread your life-killing disease. And there it is, written there in black and white. Regardless of whether or not you are still positive, you can return. Thought that was interesting.
That says it all, really.
That kind of says it all. And then we had a little thing here. Again, I'm not knocking these people in these pictures, but here we are, our little display of the old yellow and blue. It's amazing how many organisations and basically indoctrination centres, which we know they are, adopted these colours prior to the you-know-what. And again, I thought it was quite funny that when you look at some of these things, written by JD1SC. What is that supposed to mean? Who is that then? Africa's been either written by a computer or something. But like I said, I'm not knocking these people here. He looks a bit over serious, doesn't he? Hey? He's like, I don't want to hold that fucking blue star. Hello, future. Hello, future. Right? Anyway, there was another cut of classy pictures. The guy with the old gimp mask on and all this kind of stuff standing amongst all his colleagues. But the main point of bringing this up wasn't, like I say, to have a dig at this college, but was really to say that from what we can work out, the Guardian newspaper made a story up and told a porcupine.
Porcupines.
That's how we see it. Now,
Yeah.
somebody there might look at it in a different way and throw a spin on it, and that's fair play. Maybe that's right, you know.
I don't see how they
But
can.
I don't see how they can.
Not having spoken to them on the phone.
Exactly, and like I said, if you want to call them up yourself and ask them, don't ask them, do you teach Russian? Just ask them what their courses are, and they'll tell you. So I thought that was funny. Now we're going to go to this. Where's she gone? Oh yeah. Now this was the second part of this. Now, as I've said before, I am not poking a finger at this girl here. If she's real, if she actually comes from this place, I am not poking a finger at this person. I am simply looking, as a detective would do, at the evidence that again shows that this is another bogus bullshit story. Got to excuse us because we're eating some crisps as well. I know that's extremely bad for you, but there you go. A pasties and a crinkled chip. A poor old mum, by the way, suffered with her eyes the last couple of days. Something wrong, isn't you?
Yes, particularly today.
Today, like old Serge was. So, of course, it's all to do with all the shit floating in the air, and they're cutting all the fields and everything at the moment. So none of that helps anyway. So Mum's put on a brave face to do this. But when I first started looking into that other girl, this girl appears, right? Now, one of the things, and I might have mentioned this the other day, is when you look at information and you start to read into things and you go, there's way too much information in here, isn't there? A girl from a certain country moves to England. She's given a grant to be able to do this, this and this, and she works really hard at it, and she gets a master's degree. End of story, right? No. We have to go into all the details, right? And psychology 101, anybody that's worked with the police, the military, they will tell you that when there is too much information, you pretty much on a par that it's a contrived, concocted story, right?
Right.
So if any of you out there know psychologists, they will all tell you the same thing. There's one particular guy that we used to watch, and he said the same thing. We mentioned this the other day. When someone's telling you a story, if there's so much information you can't get your head round the story, that is because they're trying to embellish on something and either make it sound much more impressive than it is or cover something up. And Serge will tell you the same thing. So this young lady here, this is what made me laugh. Of course, this person doesn't live on the outskirts of whatever. She has to live in the main city where all the action goes on. Now, if you remember, that city is the place where we can book a holiday through visitukraine.org and be taken to all these abandoned areas and stuff like that, right? So we know there's something very dodgy there. So this person here flees war-torn homeland. So of course they have to write it out like a movie script, don't they? Graduated from Keele University, is now looking ahead to a hopeful and ambitious future. Where? That's question number one. Where? So Sophia doesn't just leave home. She brings her mum, aunt, younger sister and brother. Right? Family arrived together in Ukraine on April 22nd under the Homes of Ukraine scheme and settled in, guess where? Stoke-on-Trent. Once again, we've got Stoke-on-Trent. Funny that, isn't it? Just two little coincidences that fall uniquely together, right? Seeking safety and stability. Now aged 23, proudly graduated with a master's degree with distinction in marketing from Kiel Business School. Watched on by family map. Now, good for you, mate. Good for you, girl. I have no problem with that, right? No problem. So, as you start to read down here, you start to get into this line of, well, how did you end up in England? And who is paying for you to be there? And not just paying for you, but paying for all your family members to stay there, right? I don't think that this person is even real, I'm afraid. You'd have to read the story yourself because it's too much to go into, but I don't think it's real. I think it's just another bullshit story, right? Okay, could be a plant, I don't know, just to keep the narrative going. So, many of my friends went to different parts of the world while others stayed in the yellow and blue. Overnight, that sense of becoming, of community disappeared. I felt lost, and it's fair to say I was depressed at times. But I was grateful that my family was with me and that I wasn't facing it alone, she said. Right, okay, so my mum was a refugee.
I was, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not knocking the refugees here. My question is, who pays for this shit? Right? And who pays for a person to leave a war-torn country for safety and then pays for them to go to a university and become a graduate with a master's degree? Now we know, boys and girls of our age, 50s and 60s, how much it costs for your kids to get into uni. Not that they should be going to the indoctrination centres in the first place, but we know how much it costs, right? Tens of thousands of pounds. Who pays for this? Now, if this is a real story, which of course we know it isn't, this is Matt's fake reality. Of course, is she some fat, mono-browed old bird? No, of course not. She's got to be attractive with nice hair. Because everybody from there is attractive with nice hair, right? Okay. This is another bullshit story. You will probably never ever find that this person exists. She says she'd like to move back to Ukraine, and that's cool. I don't blame her. I mean, what we've seen of that country, it is a beautiful place, right?
Well, you can buy beautiful houses.
Well,
there.
we've seen. We've even contemplated going ourselves and taking a chance, and they're not cheap either.
No.
Right. So as I've said, and I can't emphasise on this enough. If Stoke-on-Trent College was involved, which obviously they were, with a lie through a mainstream newspaper, Kiel University is guilty of exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
That is the point I'm trying to get at. So we decided, Mum said, let's have a look at Homes for Ukraine scheme, which I had to type in a few times, right? Because it didn't come up with it straight away. What it came up with was, various other things, but normally things come up. So apply for a visa under the Homes for the Yellow and Blue sponsorship. So I had a quick scan down here, and it says there are different schemes in place to support those nationals and their immediate family members who wish to either come to or remain in the UK. But what it says here is that Everyone must make a separate application, even children travelling with a family member. And they've got to have a sponsor. So how does this person get a sponsor in the first place?
Yeah. And a sponsor for the others as well.
And a sponsor for the family.
So that's 5 in the family, isn't it?
That's 5,
her
right?
and 4 others.
Okay, now, when my mum left Jersey, my nan's brother and his wife lived in England. That's who they went to stay with. So, who is the sponsor of this girl? How did this girl even get in contact? And what it says here, it says, and this is another thing where it says, oh, way too much information. Where's it gone? Oh, here it is. So this is not writings of young people. There were predictions that it would last a few weeks or possibly a very long time. Well, that's
Right.
as basic as you get, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was it? It could all be over by Christmas.
Yes.
They got that one wrong, didn't they? When my family began hearing explosions from bombings in the distance, we realised the safest option was to leave. Countries like the US or Canada felt too far away, so the UK seemed like the best choice. Why? Why the UK?
Yeah.
So we've looked at, which we're going to pull up in a minute, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's got a name. And this is under a thing called free movement, right? And it says, should refugees claim asylum in the first safe country they reach? Now, we looked at this some time ago where it said actually that, yes, that is the case. Now they've changed it to no. No, they can go wherever they like. You go, all right then. So here it says here, over and over again we hear that refugees should claim asylum in the first safe country that reach. So they're good, they didn't check their, what's it? There are variations on the theme. Genuine refugees claim asylum in the first safe country. Refugees should or even must claim asylum in the first country. The asylum seekers coming to the UK from France are really economic migrants, not refugees, because they didn't claim asylum in France. Now, you can take this, you can do some research into this, whatever way you like. I just think it's funny that they got a blooming life thingy in the beach, with like, you know what I mean? That's quite funny. But that kind of, along with some of the other things that we read about, kind of tells you that, once again, you know, you just want to turn up to the land of milk and honey, and that's where you're going to stay now, right? And so on. But it was the main point was that it was just funny that the 2 main stories that I came up with, both are girls, right? Both of them from the same country,
And
both of them Stoke-on-Trent.
Trent.
So what is it about Stoke-on-Trent? It's just
Yeah.
an observation, guys. That's all it is. It is not a personal dig at people from that country, because I'm sure that people from that country are absolutely fantastic. It's the criminals behind it, including that little turd who, how people even think that little tithead is running that place is beyond me.
You mean the Green Dwarf?
The Green Dwarf, the Zed Zelensky. If anybody really believes that little clown is running that place, and I'm sorry, I can't help you out. But anyway, we thought we'd get away from that. And now what we're going to do, as we're on our little, well, there he is, my favourite. As we're on this story, This is good old BBC again. Now, I made a video about this with Mum the other day, and then we decided that we wouldn't put it up. We'd just incorporate it in this one, right? So this is again another BS story, absolute rubbish. But it makes the statement that 3 guys who've been allowed. I'm sorry, crunching away. It's probably not good, is it?
No.
Who've been allowed to live in your country, probably on the sausage roll, and housed, thanks to your generosity, show their gratefulness by trying to set fire or damage some stuff that belongs to the PM. Now, I think that they should all be set on fire, but there you go. But these guys just happen to be from that country we've just been talking about. Now, this is something that happened last year, but as I said, this guy in the middle here, I mean, it's Sid the Sloth, right?
Oh, God. Oh, dear.
That bloke's not real. He can't be real. I said he's a cross between the Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Oh, dear.
Bing Crosby, and my favourite, Sid the Sloth, who's one of the funniest characters ever created. But you can see, again, these are not real pictures of people. And look at this, Metropolitan Police. Shame on you, Met Police. As old Serge said, these have been cut out. They've got backgrounds. These are not mug shots.
No,
You don't have
no.
these backgrounds on mug shots. There's no shadowing in any. You've got a bit of shadow there, right on the face there, but look, there's no shadow there. There's no shadow there with the hoodie. It's all been cut out. But anyway, the story about this is quite funny because they're blaming. You see, they have to blame the Russians again, right? So a Russian speaker recruited and offered money to Ukrainian men to carry out arson attacks on properties connected to the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, right? Keir Stalin, right? A court heard yesterday. Ukrainian national, of course, he has to be 22, doesn't he? Right, your 211s, right? Okay, that's the Roman, and he's called Roman. That's this bloke. That's him in the middle. Anyway, it's just a stupid story about how on May the 8th, a car previously owned by the Prime Minister was found on fire in the street,
Oh,
right?
it wasn't the car he currently uses.
Well, of course not, because he drives around in a bulletproof car.
Oh, I didn't realise
Right.
that.
So it says here, look at this. This is a Toyota Prius. Right, there's no way that Keir Stalin was driving around in a Toyota Prius. That's ridiculous, right? These people drive around in very, very expensive cars. That's a Prius, that's a Toyota Prius. Metropolitan Police again. Shame on you, Met. 3 fires in the same area within 5 days would be pretty unusual. But that fires all involving property linked to the same person were beyond a coincidence. And there just happens to be somebody there, take a picture of it, and get it on the news. There's no way that old Keir Stalin was driving around in a Prius any time in the last 20 years. I'll tell you that now. So this is just another bullshit story, right? It's a little bit old now, but all these little stories popped up. But by me looking up on the thing on the Stoke-on-Trent University. So we thought that was quite funny. That this, I mean, the story is just ridiculous. But what it's saying is, again, it's trying to divide people, and there are people that need support and help from other countries. A lot of them don't get it, and we know
No.
we know which countries
the ones
don't we?
that need it don't get it.
like we said, certain countries where they have very little water. And I'm sure there's a lot more in it if we really sort of take a really big look into it. So we've covered all that, done the Euro thing, yeah, and push it. Of course, they're pushing it. Like we said, they're pushing it all again. But anyway, we thought that was quite interesting. But changing the subject just slightly, and I think it's probably the end of it, really. Isn't it?
Is that all we've got on the list?
Is that all we got on the list? Hang on.
Yes, the Serge report, he's reported in and said there's nothing much going on at the moment. It's all quiet.
It's all quiet, yeah. They're starting to push a little bit with the old space stuff again, but nothing to do with the fartiness. So that was quite funny. But as we've said, when you look into these people that are featured in these articles, you never find them again. You never find anything about them. Me and little old Sarah, when we did the thing about the Instagram Ukrainian army girls, you can't find anything about them now. They've all disappeared. It was just a big, like I said, like the old GTP, whatever it's called, said, you know, that they bamboozle people all the time by faking pictures. But what we were going to say is we spoke to a good old friend of mine last night, who's in his 80s now, who I used to work with for many, many years. And he was telling us about some of the stuff where they live that's going on with these new legislations that they're bringing in. And one of the things, which you guys in the UK already know about, we didn't know about this, is about yet another wheelie bin you're getting with a bag or something.
You're probably getting it wherever you are as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the guys and girls that know us who are in the UK, about these, where you're going to put your waste food and stuff.
Household waste.
Household waste, and they're going to make electricity out of it. and my mate Brian, who's a builder, he's a hilarious bloke. Back in the day, like he was a real lad, you know. He goes, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my entire life. And he said, how much do you think it cost to put all that together? They're not going to create electricity out of... I said, of course they're not, Brian. We already know where they get the electricity from, don't we? Right. But it was quite interesting listening to somebody who, not necessarily on board, could still be bobbing about with the ship of fools, but to say that some of the things that they're trying to rock out are absolutely ridiculous. Which, of course, they are, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't think there was anything else, was there? The main thing was to bring up the fact that we did actually call, and like when I did the one with Sarah about the crisis cast and old Mick Massey, and that I did actually call the Scots Guards and ask them if the guy that was from Crisis Cast actually was a major in the army.
And you got a reply, didn't you?
Yeah, no, they said, actually, yeah, he was, and I said, oh, right, okay. But you see how those things all slot together, and how these tabloids and medias all bounce these ideas backwards and forwards, and then the people that you see reading the news, the people that you see doing these interviews and everything, it's all pre-planned out, it's on a sheet for them to read, and so on. And people then turn around and say, oh, you're one of those people, except we prove ourselves right every single time. So just using this one about this girl in Stoke-on-Trent proves, not 100%, but it proves that the story was not what they wanted the public to believe.
No.
And that covers literally every single thing that has been going on for years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
certainly it does.
Got anything else to add? Was there anything else? Because we had a right old go this morning, and well, of course I always forget half of it, don't I? When it comes to do this. But anyway.
No, I think we're we're more or less there for the moment.
For the moment, yeah. But anyway, we had a few good comments. Like I said, we pulled up the old aeroplane stuff again. We're gradually being fuzzed out again, although it is extremely hot here right now. The temperature went through the roof. 1 minute, like I said, we were in fleeces and that. The next day,
they've turned the button up.
That's pushed the button
up. Done. They've pushed the button.
Pushed the button up.
Yeah.
And these pilots that fly in these planes, as I've said before, you'll know what you're doing. Whether you think you're doing it for the right reason or not, you'll know what you're doing, and eventually you will pay dearly for being involved in the shit that you people are involved in. And as I've said, if you know any of you out there know any pilots, yeah, well, you know what I'm thinking, right? I'm not saying go and kneecap them, but these people are not to be trusted. Any of them, anybody that helps these agendas is not to be trusted. So we'll leave it at that. So hopefully this will have recorded, because the last one cut the end off. So let's hope this works. So
well, have a good weekend to everybody.
Bomb weekend. This will come out today,
time.
which is Saturday. Until the next time, and we'll all catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye.